What is a red flag to see in someone's home? No hand soap in the bathroom. I lived in a 10-person house in college. We had 2 bathrooms. It sort of naturally split into girls' and guys' bathrooms, except for me who used the girls'. One night we're drinking and a girl ends up using the guys' bathroom because the other was taken. She comes back and says, "Damn, you guys must use a ton of soap when you wash your hands." Everyone looked confused. What? She said she used that bathroom like a week or 2 ago and it was out-of-hand soap. She just used it and it's out again. You could see it dawn on everyone's faces. No dawn on their hands though. When I lived with a bunch of other dudes, I kept rebuying toilet paper and noticed none of the other roommates were. So I just started keeping it in my closet instead and taking a roll to the bathroom when I needed to. Visiting ladies were not enthused at the surprise, but I always offered them a roll after they found out how gross the other guys were. A friend of ours visited and used the bathroom. They were like, "No TP?" I answered from just outside, "Reach up behind you." They were wondering why we didn't have TP on the usual receptacle. My cat comes out and meows at them and they go, The last company I worked for had 2 single-stall bathrooms. Neither had hand soap. This is for about 50 people. I went to the CVS at lunchtime to buy soap and put it into the bathroom and kept them stocked out of my own pocket going forward. Did I mention that this was a healthcare services company? Disgusting. I babysat a lot when I was in high school, maybe 4 or 5 nights a week. There was one family that I babysat for at least a few times a month, starting when their first kid was a baby. They literally never had hand soap in the bathroom in the 4 years I babysat. There was always a kid in diapers or potty training. I used dish soap to wash my hands. This house was always neat and organized. The kids were happy and well cared for. Laundry was clean and put away, but apparently they never washed their hands with soap. If they hadn't been friends of my parents, I wouldn't have continued babysitting because it grossed me out. I changed the bathroom towels in our guest bathroom every Friday. One Friday, I told my son to go wipe up the urine he left on the seat and floor and then watch this imposter of my DNA wipe the urine with a hand towel and hang it back up in front of me. I've never wanted to disown a relative more in my life. I'm crackling at imposter of my DNA. Same, I was stoned. Zephin read this in the shops and couldn't stop laughing at it all the way out like 5 minutes ago. I saw my mill mop the floors on Christmas after dinner and then proceed to mop the kitchen table with the same floor mop. Like I could get if you had a swifter wet mop and started with the table. But yeah, that cannot be unseen. Edit. To clarify, if she used a brand new mop head or cleaning cloth, wet jet, on the table first, it'd be weird, but not disgusting. It would essentially be a sponge/rag on a stick. You never go floor or toilet to anything else though. Oof. This reminds me of when my MIL stepped in dog poop outside our apartment building, came inside and got a butter knife out of our kitchen drawer to scrape it off. Edit. Guys, I know the knife can be washed. That's exactly what happened afterwards. I just don't see why an eating utensil was her first thought, when a stick, a paper towel, a Q-tip, the grass outside, etc. would have been just as effective and considerably less gross. Heck, we had a dozen disposable chopsticks in the same drawer. Use one of those and throw it away. I did some real estate photography on a home. It was a Mass State Trooper. It was disturbing. A nice neighborhood, a nice home, clean and well-maintained. Kids and wife photos decorating the walls and end tables. But I started noticing holes punched into walls. Some of them plastered and repaired, some of them fresh. Doors that had been splintered at the bottom from being kicked in. A couple doors that had padlocks on them that had been ripped out. There were just signs of rage everywhere I looked. It was disturbing and I felt bad for the family. Dirty litter boxes if they have cats, and I mean filthy. Dirty litter boxes if they don't have cats would be even more alarming. Litter is cheaper than diapers. No sheets on their bed, but clearly they sleep on it. Along with dirty pillows with no cover as well. Hey man, did you already subscribe on me? You don't? Subscribe and press like faster. Back in about 2015, I had a job at a high-rise that had opened in the mid-1960s. One of the first residents was a young man. He moved in with his new furniture and lived there for the next 50 years before I met him. The bed was brown, radiating from the center where it was deepest black brown to the edges of the mattress where it was light brown. The pillow was nearly black. It was less mattress than it was a cloth-covered set of collapsed springs. A number of the residents there were original to the building. From one lady I learned that he had never owned a set of sheets, slept in the nude, and had the same furniture set since he moved in, and that the mattress was also original. It was by far the filthiest bed I have ever seen. I can never. Sometimes I change linens on day 4. I can't even wear the same PJs to sleep day 3 every Friday. Linens, blankets, towels washed in hot waters and dried on high heat. I also buy new towel sets often. Trashy neighbor's dog died in a kennel, probably from starvation. They ignored the body until well after rigor set in, and then they couldn't get it out of the cage because the limbs wouldn't bend. So they just left it in there, in the house, surrounded by piles of garbage. Their 10-year-old eventually asked other neighborhood adults for help because the parents wouldn't do anything about it. So, dead dog rotting in a cage is my red flag. No cleaning supplies, although I agree with the idea. In my house, a guest wouldn't really see them, except for the toilet brush. All cleaning supplies live behind doors, and as they're dedicated cupboards, I don't open them unless I'm cleaning. Holes punched in the wall, no thanks. One time I did a tumble on my bed and put a hole in the drywall with my butt. I couldn't be asked to fix it, so it remained there behind a poster for years. Also, once my mom threw a potato through another wall. My overall point being, sometimes it's not a punched hole in the wall, and also drywall kinda sucks. So it was literally your butthole? Yeah, I did that once at work, trying to run some cables in the ceiling and fell off the ladder. Boop! Butthole right in the wall. They did the same thing and covered it up with a picture. All of us kids who grew up in neglectful homes are having terrible flashbacks while reading all these comments. When their pets' water bowls are empty. Monsters. My wife doesn't abide this. Whenever we're at someone's house, she'll just pick up the water bowl, wash it, and refill it for the critters if needed. This is me, but with pets' eye boogers. Could you imagine not having the dexterity to get those things yourself and how awful that would be? I've never met an animal that was ungrateful for my boogie services. My dogs probably think I just like to randomly stab them in their eye corners. When they don't do basic preparation for a pre-planned guest coming over. For example, there's no toilet paper, they don't offer you anything to drink, house is really messy. I went to someone's house for a D&D session once and she had her dirty underwear on my chair. Not one person in the group thought it was weird that I had to move them. That was the last time I ever played with or spoke to them. Large political flags on the wall. I don't care what your political affiliations are, if you are that obsessed with it that you feel the need to hang a huge flag in your living room to announce them, that's a no from me. Exceptions are made for those with giant flags for the United Federation of Planets. I can definitely hang with most nerds. Crack pipe. Cats but no litter box. Liquor bottles are the only decoration you can find, barely any furniture. I live in England. So many people have no litter box because they just let their cats shit in their neighbors' gardens. My sister-in-law was complaining to us about how her cats kept peeing and pooping in the house at night. This went on for weeks before I asked how often she was cleaning their litter box. They didn't have one. Their cats were messing all over their house and their children's things, and it had never occurred to them to get a box. They were just elderly cats who didn't always have the energy to get outside. If they have children, but you see no sign of a child in the home outside of their bedroom. Edit. I do not mean the home is trashed, I mean you see no photos, no coats, shoes, toys, anything indicating a child lives there too. For example, I tidy up every night, but you'll still see my toddler's shoes by the door and his little Paw Patrol table in the living room, and photos around the house of him, of course. Another edit. I am not going back and forth with you sad beige parents that live for aesthetics. If you don't get it, I'm not explaining it. I am a home handyman, and this has always been one of my tells that these are horrible people. This is a 100% always accurate tell. These will always be terrible clients. Never satisfied, shit about paying, shit about communicating what they want, weird demands, rude. If there are kids but no sign of them, even in the basement, something fucked up. Other tells that are 90% accurate. No books. This is almost always a sign that the people are unkind or difficult to satisfy with quality work. But there have been two exceptions who were totally lovely. Dead plants, as in all of the plants are dead and have been dead for a while. These people have a checked out quality that makes them hard to work with. Little or no furniture, whole rooms that are empty. Something's wrong. One of my best friends from middle school invited me to spend the night one weekend, and their house was so unbelievably nasty. It was more than just trash and dirty clothes all over the place. My friend's older sister had a baby, and they even had dirty diapers and food scraps throughout their apartment. Aside from some odd behavior from their mom, who was gone pretty much the whole time we were there. We went swimming in their apartment pool that same weekend, and my friend told me that her mom actually had a drug problem, and she sometimes just wouldn't see her for days at a time. So now I think any unusual amount of trash could indicate a serious issue. Someone there must really be going through something in order for their house to be looking like that. Anime stuff. I don't mean mangas or seasoned DVDs or anything like that, those are fine. But if you have art with giant anime tits and ass, that's one single thread of string from being hentai hanging out in your living room, well, you probably don't get guests anyways, so you keep doing you. Roaches. My in-laws' place is full of roaches and they act like it's no big deal. A kid I dated in high school lived with his grandparents, and their house was infested. He always smelled kind of funny and I never could figure out what it was. Until I came over one night to have dinner. You opened the front door and they were all over the walls. They immediately scattered when the light hit them. Dead ones dangling in cobwebs and crunching underfoot. And the smell. Roach infestation smell. And that smell stuck to my then boyfriend. In his clothes. In his hair. They had one of those built-in radios with speakers in the ceilings, and the tuner dial on the radio face was full of egg casings. Roaches were in the microwave, fridge, dishwasher, stove, in the digital clock faces of those appliances. They were everywhere. We had taco night. I was helping prep things in the kitchen. You couldn't set food down on the table without roaches immediately scurrying towards it. I did my best to power through. We sat on the couch to eat. Boyfriend went to take a bite and I saw something moving in his bowl. A roach covered in sour cream. Lost my appetite. I didn't go back there. The house was a manufactured home and apparently had some damage to the flooring that his grandparents could not afford to fix. Plus, they had pets in the house and were both mildly disabled. In addition to that, could not afford whole house treatment. It was a perfect recipe. This kid slept on a mattress with a blanket and no sheet and a pillow that was brown and yellow. Chris, if you're reading this, I hope your grandparents were able to get help and fix their home. And I hope you were able to move out and away. No human or animal deserves to live in those conditions. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe and comment your red flags when you're visiting someone's homes. Good afternoon, good evening, good night.